But then Mason grabs the custom-made Sabrina Carpenter limited edition short and sweet tour exclusive merch knife and stabs HEK. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I like to watch movies. Love hurts. Wait. Wrong movie. Love can be extremely painful. Sometimes it kicks you while you're down, and other times it feels like a custom-made knife is getting plunged into your heart. And as someone who engaged in a lot of romantic relationships in their past, I understand how I feel when it comes to matters of the heart. While it can totally suck to be utterly rejected by someone you thought was a perfect match for you, finding a person who makes you feel whole and completely human is like the most special feeling you're ever gonna feel. It is the highest of highs, and I hope everyone can feel it at least once in their life. I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic, not to brag. And so of course I am deeply obsessed with rom-coms. And I've spent the last 2 years casually devouring every rom-com that I've come across. So I've seen a good amount of them and I've learned a thing or two. Bridget Jones's Diary, all-time favorite. When Harry Met Sally, a absolute classic. My Best Friend's Wedding, oh my gosh, it couldn't be me. Very embarrassing behavior, but iconic nonetheless. I've also watched Sleepless in Seattle. While I don't love that movie, I do like the movie that it's based off of, which is kind of iconic. And in the middle of watching that, my grandma absolutely spoiled a big plot twist for me. And I was like, that's not what's gonna happen. And it happened. And I was like, wait, in the 50s they were doing this? Girl, you will never see that in a movie made today. All of this to say is that if there is a romantic comedy movie with a 20-something-year-old girl trying to figure out who she is and what she wants out of life while falling in love with a man, me, sad. And for those who do not know, rom-coms are basically a genre blended of two different genres, romantic movies and comedies. And genre blending is like absolutely nothing new to us. It has been so ingrained in our film culture that like we don't even bat an eye when we see rom-com or horror comedy or whatever else could exist in that spectrum. And it's probably because these kind of genre blended movies have been around for like almost a century. Like the first rom-com came out in 1912 and it's called All for a Girl. Think about that. Think about that. But there is one genre that really does rival the rom-com for like absolute genre, like, you know, chef's kiss moments. And that, my friends, is horror. I think the first horror movie came out in like pulling a number out of my ass, 87. So what happens when you mix three of the oldest film genres together and then you put another genre on top of it? Because why not? Go for it. Well, you get Hard Eyes. Written by Phil Murray, Christopher Landon, and Michael Kennedy, and directed by Josh Rubin, Hard Eyes follows two co-workers who are trying to survive Valentine's Day and the Hard Eyes killer. Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy are known to have worked together on quite a few projects like Freaky and A Wonderful Knife, and they're really known for like their queer take on like horror tropes. And while I don't think all of their films completely land the plane, I will say I'm having a great time in the air. Maybe not the best metaphor to be using right now, but you know what? That's what we got. And Hard Eyes is no exception to like these queer tones that they have carried throughout their filmography. In this movie, the queer tones are coming out in the way that the slasher killer is targeting his victims. That's right, girls, he's only targeting the straights. And I don't know a ton about Josh Rubin, to be completely fair with you. I did learn while researching on this film that his house did burn down during the LA fires. So yeah, go watch this movie and help him get those residuals. I will also pin a comment down below with all the verified GoFundMes where you can like donate money if you can and are able to. It's really tough. I mean, there's a lot happening in this world, and so just helping when we can is like super duper important. This is not Josh Rubin's first time making a feature film, and I think it kind of shows. This is Josh Rubin's third feature film. His first two films, Scare Me and Werewolves Within, which I think are pretty underseen, mostly because I think they came out during like peak COVID times. But Rubin really proved that he had the chops to make a good comedy horror with a big budget that could make its money back. I believe Hard Eyes is his biggest budget to date, and he really puts all that money on the screen. What you need to know about Rubin's style is that it is bloody for the sake of comedy. Characters are constantly fighting back, choosing the path of least resistance, and I really do appreciate that. As a girl who aims for like just below the glass ceiling, I'm like, yes, give me minimum effort. I love that the flight or fight is on and functioning. Rubin's goal with Hard Eyes was pretty simple. Balance the brutal slasher with the nostalgic rom-com. And I think the romantic elements of this movie are fully achieved largely thanks to Mason Gooding. While his father does deserve jail, I don't think Mason Gooding is a bad person. If he is, please let me know in the comments and I will change my tune. But as of right now, he's making these toes curl. And that one is for all you SJM fans out there. I see you, and I'm also in this fight with you because oh my god, Crescent City 3. Onyx Storm. I don't know what it is about Mason Gooding that literally has me kicking my feet and giggling. And then when you pair that with Olivia Holt, oh my God. The chemistry is too good, and the trauma bond romance, like, you can't beat it. But what falls flat here is the comedy. Be that the lack of direction really emphasizes the like weakness of the comedic beats, or be that the comedic beats aren't just hitting in the story tonally. Something about Hard Eyes absolutely feels flat. She's really giving us go girl, give us nothing energy. Luckily, the kills are really making up for all of this, and there is enough of a mystery to keep me engaged and be like, well, who is the killer? What's going on? Who's the Hard Eyes killer? What's happening? Let's talk about it. So spoiler warning, I am about to talk about Hard Eyes and all of the plot beats. If you want to know my final grade on the movie, you can check it out in the chapters down below, and I will just tell you my final thoughts on this without spoiling the movie. So you're safe. Unless the Hard Eye killer comes for you. Then girl, I am so sorry. You're on your own. I am just a girl with limitations, and I can't save the both of us. So before we get into the thick of it, let's introduce our players. Our protagonist, Allie, is played by Olivia Holt, who I don't think I've ever seen in a theatrically released movie before, which is kind of shocking. Any Kicking It fans? Anybody? Yes? She was in Totally Killer, which was a pretty big slasher movie, I think 2 years ago on Amazon, but that was a streaming release and it was not theatrical, so stop typing. What do you need to know about Allie? She's cynical. She hates love. She just broke up with her boyfriend. Why? Good question. She's bad at her job. Period. But like her career choice that she has made wasn't the one she even wanted. She wanted to go to med school, but guess what? She can't stand the sight of blood. And then we have Jay Simmons, i.e. Mason Gooding. What do I need to tell you? I love him. I would die for him. Any movie that Mason Gooding is in, I'm absolutely sat down in the theater waiting for him to show up on screen. I'm sold on whatever he's in. Is he a good actor? Yeah, actually, he's a fantastic actor. Everyone cast him, please. If he has 0 fans, then I'm simply deceased. Then we have Hobbs and Shaw. Not the good Hobbs and Shaw, which is a crazy statement to say, but we have these cops named Hobbs and Shaw, played by Devon Sawa and Jordana Brewster. And guys, they're bad at their jobs. And then we have the titular Hard Eyes killer, also known as HEK. Who is HEK? That is the mystery of it all. So we open with a couple celebrating Valentine's Day with a morning picnic in a vineyard. It's giving Love is Blind. It's giving everything is so perfect, nothing can go wrong, right? The guy offers the girl a strawberry. Like, everything is absolutely staged to all hell, so you know it's like a proposal is coming up, and he offers her a strawberry to eat. She bites into it. She crunches down on something hard. She pulls it out and she's like, oh, a ring. Girl, I would be pissed off if I had to eat something and there was a ring in it. Guys, I have swallowed so many magnets in my life. like you can't put small things in like food. Like it will get consumed. But the guy takes the ring and he gets down on one knee. He's like, will you marry me? Will you be my little boo thing? And she goes, of course. And then his phone starts ringing. And guess what song is playing on his phone? It's Genuine's Pony. I think I want people to bring back personalized ringtones. My decision paralysis is so bad that I don't think I could ever choose a song to be my ringtone. Like, what would it actually be? Crazy Frog? The guy answers the phone and he's like, what's going on? And the photographer is like, ooh, I didn't get the shot. So they have to do the whole thing over again and everyone's annoyed. And they're like yelling at the photographer and the photographer's like, I'm gonna get the shot. He looks through his viewfinder and a machete gets shoved through the lens and into the man's eye. R.I.P. photographer. Also, just a fun note that we need to talk about here and now. All of HEK's weapons they had to be custom made because they all have little hearts on them, like he's Sabrina Carpenter's biggest fan. Like, go girl, steal her aesthetic. Hardys decides that it is time to go after this annoying couple and immediately murders the man with an arrow to the head. He does not get an RIP. The girl's like, oh, I gotta go because arrows are flying after her constantly. She's dodging and weaving, zigging and zagging. She's hiding in the vineyard and she's like, you're not gonna ruin my proposal. Girl, your man is dead. Eventually, HEK does find her and locks her in this machine that is just filled with water. And guys, you hate to see it. It is a wine pressing machine. Yeah, she does get squished to death. So, lore we need to know and establish about HEK right here, right now. For the last 2 years, every Valentine's Day, HEK has been going from town to town, well, from city to city, murdering people. And the city they have chosen this year is Seattle. When the cops arrive to the scene, they're already pissing me off. For some reason, Shaw is just swiping left and right on the dating app while she's standing in a bucket of blood. And she's just being so unserious. Like, it is honestly atrociously unserious. Guys, I hate to tell you this, Hobbs is just a predator. He's like freaking me out. I'm like, girl, leave space for the law and for Jesus. And while you might be going, hey, they can't be that bad at their jobs, They have the goal to be like, oh, is this HEK? And they turn around literally 90 degrees to see an entire heart-shaped shrine made of flower petals shipped in from Temu with a human heart in the center of it. Like, yeah, girl. I think it was hard eyes. I love incompetent police work. Yes, tax dollars, give us nothing. Let's meet Allie before I absolutely get pissed off. It is 8 a.m. and Allie is already having the toughest day of her life. Not only is her ex-boyfriend dating somebody new and posting about it on his Instagram, but she just got an email that is an all hands on deck meeting because her campaign that she just launched is absolutely terrible. The campaign is focused on tragic movie couples and their traumatic deaths to sell rings. Nothing says buy diamonds like a shoddy recreation of Brando just getting absolutely Swiss cheese in Bonnie and Clyde. She's finding out all this information while she's getting her coffee, and when her order gets called out, she reaches for it, and then somebody else reaches for it, and then their hands touch, and they touch the coffee. It's like they're coffee mates. But the meet cute quickly falls apart because they are klutz city out here, like bonking each other in the head constantly. We do get to find out in this moment that Miss Allie is saving the turtles and uses a metal straw. And guys, I really think that the metal straw deserves a credit in this movie because like the amount of screen time it has is absolutely insane. I think it has more screen time than one of like the secondary characters. But Allie has to go. She has to go to this meeting. It's time to get fired, girls. She walks in, she gets yelled at, and she's like, okay, fuck my life, what do you want me to do? And her boss is like, don't worry, we have a freelancer coming in. He's gonna save the day. Guess who walks in? It's Mason Gooding. Imagine.
Me with no makeup, you in the bathtub, bubbles and bubbly, ooh.
Girls, Allie's like, I need to decompress. Let me go read some YouTube comments in the bathroom real quick. Then Mason enters the bathroom, which is not a bad thing. It is a gender-neutral bathroom. If you have been to like some of those corporate buildings where they have the bathrooms and then individual stalls with sinks in them, it's that kind of situation. But he comes in to invite Allie to dinner so they could talk about strategy. And she's like, why can't we do it right here, right now? Like, I really don't want to go out tonight. It's Valentine's. I just want to sit home and be like, sad. Mason would love to sit and chat, but he has a 12 p.m. yoga class and he's got to go because he pays for that all-access Equinox membership, and that is a very expensive membership. Plus, tomorrow he has to fly out for his best friend's wedding. Luckily, Allie's friend Monica is a real supporter and a real trooper, and she's like, girl, go to that dinner because you know what that means we're going to do right here, right now? Shopping montage. And the song that's playing over the shopping montage? Mantra by Jenny. And I love the shopping montage, but I hate the outfit we end in. I think Olivia Holt looks great and everything, but this outfit is so drab and it is giving Aritzia to the max. And I'm just like, please, anything but this. But she goes to the restaurant and she arrives early, which is embarrassing city, if you know what I mean. And she's getting pat down and they're just like, hey, can't be too careful with the hard eye killer out there. By the way, throughout the day, he killed only one other couple. We don't care about them. We never hear about who they are or why they matter. But no, so Allie goes and sit down and she's just trying to drink water with her metal straw. And then we all get to see Mason Gooding walk in with his hands above his head as he gets like, you know, monitored by the thing, and everybody's gawking at him, and I do not blame them. Mason sits down and he's like trying to get to know Allie. He's like, so where are you from? And she's like, I don't have time for this because I'm a serious businesswoman and I just hate things. And to be fair, her job is at risk, so I get the attitude, but like, girl, use the Gen Z strategy of like, and if I get fired, so what? I'll collect unemployment and get another job. It's not that big of a deal. Like, 1-2 punch, I'm still standing. And the night kind of sucks ass, and Mason's like, you're not fun. I think I'm gonna go home. And as he's going home, Miss Allie is just like, oh, I think I fucked up. Hey, I'm really sorry. She runs out after him. Oh no, she sees someone, so she kisses Mason Gooding on the lips. It looks beautiful. And then the guy's like, oh, hey, what's up? Turns out her ex is here with his new girlfriend. Their plan apparently was to have a double date tonight at the same restaurant that Mason had booked the resi at, but their double date that they were going on was with the couple that got killed at the beginning of the movie. So now it's just a single date. And I guess good for them for keeping the reservation. I don't know. Reservations are weird nowadays because sometimes you have to pay for the reservation and that's like $20. After this brief moment of awkwardness, Allie's like, I'm just gonna go home and you're gonna drop me off, Mason, in your Uber. And as he's like waiting to make sure she gets inside, he notices that she's absolutely locked out and he's like, okay, let me help you by breaking your guys' front window. Oh my God, I cut my hand and I'm bleeding. That's a lot of blood. They go upstairs to Allie's apartment so she can like patch up his hand. And as she's like pulling the glass out, he's like, you're really good at this. And she's like, thanks, that's because I went to med school. Again, she dropped out of med school because she can't do blood. And then she sees her vibrator on the nightstand and she's like, We gotta put this away, girls. She goes to put it in the closet, and when she opens the closet door, oh my god, HGK is here. He jumps out. He tries to stab her. Mason tackles him to the ground, and he's like, get out of here, Adley. She's like, no, where am I gonna go? This is my apartment. And she takes the lamp and smashes it across HGK's head, and they get the heck out of the apartment together. Because Mason told the Uber guy to like wait for him, the guy actually waited for him. And so they went outside to get to their getaway car, left you at the motel bar, put the money in the bag, and I stole a key, and that was the last time that you ever saw me. But then an arrow flies through the passenger side window and into the cabbie's head. RIP cab driver, he was really a real one. Quick, let's run to the abandoned greenhouse and the carousel in our nearby park. Okay, locations. During the greenhouse fight, Allie quickly abandons Mason because he gives her a free moment, and she's like, okay, goodbye. Ugh. And good for her. She doesn't know him. She doesn't owe him anything. And if they were in love, he would want her to run away. She eventually has to face off with HGK, but she's able to escape because the police show up. And then you hear that they caught the HGK killer. Girl, the movie's not done. Like, what the heck? What does this mean? Also, in this universe, apparently everybody knows what HGK looks like. And so the stores sell masks that look exactly like his mask. And I feel like that's wild behavior on the side of commerce, but like, we've seen worse. But she's like, wait, he's not the killer. That's my date. I mean, my coworker. And they're like, if you want to see him, honey, go to the police station. New location, police station. Mason is handcuffed to a table and he's getting good cop, bad cop by the most incompetent cops you have ever seen. But they're like trying to like logic this thing together. And there's like, you've been in the same city that HGK has been in the past 3 years. Coincidence? And he's like, yeah, stranger things have happened. I'm just a guy. I'm just vibing. I was attacked by the killers. Like, what is this police work? But Shaw is playing good cop, so she sends Hobbs out of the room. And she's like, hey, Mason, are you single? Asking for a friend. And she's like really trying to play up that she's also single. But girl, is that a wedding ring I see on your finger? And in my mind, I thought, okay, it's just a mistake. Maybe like the actress forgot to take off her wedding band. It happens. But is anything ever really a mistake? So what's Allie up to? Well, she's in the waiting room trying to get Mason out of his holding cell, and she is just sassing up police lady number 1. But the IT guy who's working on some tech in the back is just like, girl, you're kind of cute. Should we go on a date sometime? And she's like, oh, I was almost murdered tonight, so probably not. When Shaw comes into the waiting room to chat it up with Allie, she's like, so are you and Mason like a thing? Is he single? Just asking for a friend. Allie is stunned, but like tries to play it cool. She's like, what's the point of this question? How long is it gonna be? You know, I would love to take my friend home because he did nothing wrong. When Shaw leaves the room, the power goes down, and then HEK pops out of nowhere with an American flag in his hand and just stabs police lady number 1 to the heart. Her pronouns are USA. Allie is on the run again. She's like, I gotta go. But she also takes a minute and she goes, character development moment. We gotta get Mason too. She's learning and she's growing. Shaw is navigating through all these flashing lights in this police station because they have the worst generator that I've ever seen functioning in a movie's police station. Then HEK pops out of nowhere and she's like, you hit the skin of a killer, Bella. And then we cut over to Mason and hear some gunshots. So like, what happened there? Then we hear Allie's voice come on over the loudspeaker in the interrogation room, and Mason's like, cool, she's gonna help me. Love this for me. We also quickly cut away to see that Hobbs is getting brutally murdered by HEK as well. So like, cool. Added to the body count. Back with Mason in the interrogation room, he's like, oh, Allie, is that you coming through this door? Ooh. No, it's HEK. And he is here to murder Mason. Luckily, Allie has a gun, and she just starts shooting all willy-nilly through that double glass window and misses everybody. But she has the key. She unlocks Mason from the table, and she's like, we gotta get out of here. My gun's out of bullets. We gotta run. They run outside, and Allie decides to stop in the middle of the road and try to wave down a car that is obviously not slowing down. So Mason tackles her to the ground. They roll. He lands on top of her, and he's like, got you. Quickly, let's kiss. Nothing more romantic than being tackled by the love of your life. HEK is still stalking us. Quick, let's run to the nearby drive-in movie theater that's absolutely packed and playing a vintage rom-com movie from the 1950s. The geography of this movie is killing me. The drive-in theater is showing His Girl Friday. Also, people, would you actually go to this movie if you lived in Seattle? Like, would you go to a drive-in theater in the middle of February to watch a movie? This feels like some LA shit. Mason and Allie end up finding some refuge in a stoner's van, and the stoner and his girlfriend are in the back absolutely going to town on each other. But don't worry, they're completely chill with these strangers just sitting in their car. Nothing but love and light. Mason and Allie are having a heart-to-heart in the van about their perspective on love and why she's a cynic and why he's a hopeless romantic. And some would say that they're getting a little closer. But then the couple in the back starts getting really loud and they're like, dudes, shut the f up. Because guys, guess who opens the van door? Yeah, it's HEK. And you know what they do? They take a tire iron and shove it into the guy's mouth, dead. And then he takes the girl's head and shoves her entire head down onto the tire iron that protrudes at the back of her head. And then he lifts her head up and you can see just like straight through the hole. Yeah, this starts an all-out slasher fest. Nobody is safe except for the queer people. How do we know this? Because he does see a car with 2 girls in it and he's just like, Allie. Allie and Mason are running away, but then she stops and she goes, we have to murder him. I'm starting to question, maybe Allie should be a cop. They decide to grab the tire and iron out of Van Guy's like deceased body and use that as the weapon. And guys, would you believe that a tire and iron is not a good weapon for self-defense? Because Mason absolutely gets got. But don't worry, Allie is there to save the day and she picks up a propane tank and slams it across HEK's head. Yes. HEK is not done yet. They turn around to go stab Allie, but then Mason grabs the custom-made Sabrina Carpenter limited edition short and sweet tour exclusive merch knife and stabs HEK. Then as a cherry on top, Allie sees all the blood and she's like, I'm going to profusely vomit all over his corpse. They unmask the killer and guess who it is? It's just a guy. Just some guy we've never seen before. But come on, you guys. It's like a homage to Scream. So you know there's another killer out there. But who's the other killer? And why are they connected to this person? Questions on questions. Maybe we should ask Shaw, who just showed up in her car from the police station that I assumed was walking distance, with her little arm in a sling, and she goes, looks like you guys made it out just in time. Where have you been, Shaw? Shaw is like, hey, Mason, I'll take you back to your hotel. And Mason's like, hey, Allie, would you like to come back to my hotel with me? And she's like, no, I can't. And why? Well, because she needs to go home, take a shower, and finish His Girl Friday. But then she's on the phone with her friend Monica, and Monica's like, girl, what are you doing? Monica's like, where is he? And she's like, oh, he's at the airport right now. He's got his best friend's wedding to go to. I can't stop him before he steps on the plane. What would I even say? And Monica says some of the best lines that I've ever seen in a movie in 2025 in the month of February. She really says, just say anything, because what you're feeling is crazy, stupid love, actually. Grammatically incorrect, but I do not care. And you know what? It's enough motivation for Allie to be like, you know what? You're right. I am going to run to the airport and stop him before he goes through TSA. And she's pushing past people. She's yelling his name. She spots him. She turns him around and embraces. She pulls back. It's just a guy. Oh, you hate to see it. It's probably like the hardest way to fumble, and I watched the Super Bowl. Luckily, Allie gets a phone call from Mason, and she answers it. Guys, it's HEK. No. They also had Mason. Who could have seen this coming? Allie goes to the meeting point, which is St. Valentine's Church, which is not a real church in the city. I looked it up. But Mason is there tied up and HEK is behind him. But there are so many candles in this church and it's just like a big hazard. And when HEK removes her mask, it is revealed that it is another guy. But we have met this guy. In fact, it is the IT guy who asked Allie on a date earlier. Oh, and the other killer is Shaw. So there were 3 killers. Shaw, the IT guy, and then some random dude that was a big fan. So Shaw and the IT guy are absolutely in love, and it turns out that their kink is murder. So they've chosen to spend their Valentine's Day murdering people because it's what gets them on. And you know what? Good for them. They have a hobby. They also like St. Valentine's Day because it's like the most goth day that there ever was for like lovebirds. What you need to know about this saint is that like most all saints that have ever existed, he died a very brutal death by being beheaded after performing like a lot of secret weddings and marriages when it was absolutely illegal in Rome at the time. So the killer couple gives Allie an ultimatum. She can either end her own life or end Mason's. And she has the weapon and she's like, you know what? This is the end. And shoots Mason in the shoulder, but it actually gets shot in the gut. And Shaw is pissed off. She's like, I'm gonna murder you. And so Shaw goes after Allie. The IT guy goes to get Allie as well, but then Mason trips him up. He falls, knocking over a bunch of candles. All the wax is melting on him, and he's like, my face. As a girl who used to put her fingers in like the wax of my Scentsy to like see it on my fingertips, you know? I think he's overreacting. Allie is fighting Shaw, and Shaw has the upper hand, but guess what Allie has that's gonna save the day? That metal straw. She stabs Shaw in the neck with it. Shaw's going backwards. She's like, blah, 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 blah. Blood squirts out of the straw. And then Allie pushes her all the way back into the sword of St. Valentine, and yes, Shaw does get beheaded. But guess what? Allie doesn't vomit. Character growth part 2, she's over her fear of blood. Time jump. It's a year later. Allie and Mason have just delivered a killer campaign that has saved the company. I don't know if it saved the company, but it did really, really well. Allie has bigger dreams. That's right, girls. Character development number 3. She's going back to med school. And to celebrate their 1-year anniversary, Mason and Allie go back to the drive-in movie theater, which is a big choice. But Mason is here for the good vibe. You know what he does? He pulls out a velvet box and opens it, and he's like, will you move in with me? Because it's a key to his apartment. Allie's like, I can't, because I have to ask you a very important question. And she pulls out a velvet box and proposes to him. I love it. And he says yes. Ah, we love love. Then they share a kiss as the camera pans up to the stars because they're shining just a little bit brighter tonight. The hard eyes. Wow, you guys, this was a lot of movie. I will say that this movie is its weakest when it's trying to be funny. Like, the comedic moments really do fall flat. And I feel like there's a lot of improv happening, which doesn't always work for me. So sorry. And there's also these like weird pauses that was like waiting for the laugh track to kick in, but there was no laugh track because this is like a feature film. Also, people just don't laugh at the movies anymore. That being said, that this movie was really trying to function on very high levels of tropiness. Like, it has 4 levels of genre tropes that it's like trying to constantly push out and like subvert at the same time. And a lot of times they were clashing with each other or just like not coexisting at all. Like, instead of everything kind of working together, each scene kind of felt like it was firmly planted in the genre that it was like trying to emulate. And I think it made the movie feel very stagnant and disjointed. But I will say, I enjoyed myself. I had a fun time. I wasn't bored. I was entertained. And honestly, that's all I can ask for from a movie. Honestly, the highlight here, the standout of this movie, Mason Gooding. Oh, who would have thought? He really came and said, I'm gonna give you the performance of a lifetime. I'm gonna make history. And history is what he made. All of this to say, as I'm giving Hard Eyes a C+. I will recommend this movie if you just wanna see some fun kills on the big screen. It's just a really easy movie to enjoy in the theaters. I will say, maybe go check out Companion if you haven't seen it yet, and then go see Hard Eyes. But that's all I have for you folks today. If you made it all the way to the end, subscribe, leave a like, comment, do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.